Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Majority Leader. Madam Speaker, my dear colleagues. Last week po, bumaha na naman sa Metro Manila. Naglabasa naman yung mga tunet-tuneladang mga basura. Narinig ko po yung awit ni Gary Valenciano. Sabi niya, nandiyan ka na naman, tinutukso-tukso ang aking puso. Nahihirapan na, lalapit-lapit pa, di na natuto. Parang patungkol po ito sa Metro Manila. Di na natuto. 25 years ago, during the first of my 5 terms in Congress, one of the very first privileged speeches I delivered was about the mishandling of solid waste collection and disposal in Metro Manila. More than 2 decades later, last year, my first privileged speech upon returning to this chamber was again about garbage, about corruption and inefficiency in garbage collection, about clogged waterways, about our primitive disposal system, and about the connection between solid waste, flooding, and anomalous flood control projects. And today, here I am again. Nandyan na naman ang mga basura. Nandyan na naman ang mga baha. Nandyan na naman ang mga problema. At nandyan na naman tayo. Hindi na natuto. Madam Speaker, Metro Manila generated approximately 4.4 million metric tons of solid waste in 2024. This is roughly 12,000 metric tons of garbage every single day. 12 milyong kilo ng basura araw-araw. At kapag dumating ang malakas na ulan at bagyo, nakikita natin ang resulta, pagkataas-taas ng mga baha, tone-toneladang basura, ang inaanod mula sa ating mga kanal, estero, creek at ilog. Bumabara sa drainage systems, bumabagsak sa pumping station, sinisira ang mga pumping station, maagos sa ating mga ilog at sa huli, lumalabas sa Manila Bay at sa ating mga dalampasigan. In July 2025 alone, after severe flooding, the MMDA reported removing more than 600 metric tons of garbage from the pumping stations in just several days. At hindi lamang ito kahihiyan sa ating sariling bayan. A major international scientific study published in Science Advances identified the Pasig River as the world's largest riverine source of plastic waste entering the oceans under its model. And 19 Philippine rivers were among the world's 50 largest plastic-emitting rivers. Imagine that, Madam Speaker. Ang ating mga ilog na dapat nagbibigay buhay sa ating mga lungsod ay naging conveyor belt ng basura papunta sa karagatan. And yet, ngayon, di na natuto. Alam natin ang problema. We know the problem. We have studied the problem. We have held hearings about the problem. We have appropriated billions and billions of pesos supposedly to solve the problem. But year after year, problem comes back. Di na natuto. Why? Because many times the problem is no longer technical. The problem is political. The problem is corruption. The problem is fragmented government. And above all, the problem is the absence of political will and metropolitan leadership. One metropolis, 17 kingdoms. Mr. Speaker, according to the 2020 census, Metro Manila already had 13.48 million residents. Official projections place its population at around almost 15 million by 2025. During the daytime, millions more cross city boundaries to work, study, conduct business, and obtain government services. Metro Manila is therefore not simply a collection of cities. It is one gigantic, interconnected urban organism. The water flowing from Quezon City does not stop at the boundary of Manila. The garbage thrown into a creek in Caloocan does not ask permission before entering Manila Bay and Manila. Traffic from Pasay does not stop because the vehicle enters Makati. A commuter living in Caloocan may work in Makati, study in Manila, pass through Quezon City, and return home at night. Floodwater has no political boundaries. Garbage has no political boundaries. Traffic has no political boundaries. Pollution has no political boundaries. But our government does. We have 16 highly urbanized cities and 1 municipality, 17 local governments, each with its own mayor, its own council, its own ordinances, its own traffic regulation, its own garbage contracts, its own zoning decisions, and its own political priorities. Parang 17 autonomous kingdoms occupying one interconnected metropolis. And therein lies the contradiction. One metropolis, 17 governments, 17 priorities, 17 political interests. Tingnan natin ang kalagayan ng Metro Manila. Madam Speaker, the evidence is everywhere. We continue to have enormous concentration of informal settlers, including communities beside waterways, underneath bridges, and in danger zones. Older government data identified more than 60,000 informal settler families living along Metro Manila waterways alone. Ilang po, beside, maging sa ibabaw ng mga waterways at mga daluyang tubig. Many communities live under conditions that should disturb the conscience of government. Pati po sa ilalim ng Skyway, may kuweba po doon, may 100 ang nakatira. Kulang sa maayos na sanitation, siksikan, improvised water connections, electricity carried through dangerous webs of wires are infamous spaghetti wires. Houses packed so tightly together that one spark can turn an entire community into an inferno. Repeatedly, we see fires leaving hundreds, sometimes thousands, homeless. Even some old government housing projects have deteriorated into overcrowded and poorly maintained communities. Now look at our streets. Roads intended for moving people and commerce have become parking lots. Sidewalks have become extension of stores, terminals, and private properties. There are illegally parked cars, motorcycles, tricycles, vendors, makeshift terminals, political tents, and even barangay facilities occupying spaces supposedly belonging to the public. And we have traffic ordinances and enforcement practices that can change when you cross from one city to another. One metropolitan road system, but different rules depending on which kingdom you happen to be driving through. Kapag hindi sapat ang problema ng traffic, may illegal terminals, may colorum operation, may mga kotong sa enforcement. This is not metropolitan planning. This is metropolitan improvisations. One LGU cannot solve this. Cannot be separated from transportation. Transportation cannot be separated from land use. Land use cannot be separated from drainage. Drainage cannot be separated from flood control. Flood control cannot be separated from solid waste management. Solid waste management cannot be separated from environmental protection. And none of this can realistically be solved by one LGU acting alone. Imagine garbage disposal. Metro Manila produces roughly 12,000 tons of waste every day. Where will one city put it? Where will Caloocan put its garbage? Where will Manila put its garbage? Where will Quezon City put its garbage? Each LGU can collect garbage, but the final disposal problem is metropolitan. For decades, much of the Metro Manila has depended heavily on disposal facilities outside the metropolis, particularly in Rizal. This is not a 30-year solution. That is moving today's garbage somewhere else, leaving tomorrow's government to deal with the consequences. Look at Singapore. Singapore faces the same fundamental reality, limited land and enormous quantities of waste. Its waste disposal infrastructure includes 4 waste-to-energy plants. Waste suitable for incineration is burned under controlled conditions, reducing its volume by approximately 90%, while recovering energy generate electricity. The remaining ash and non-incinerable materials are transported to Semakau landfill, Singapore's engineered landfill. Singapore does not pretend that garbage disappears when the garbage truck turns the corner. It has an integrated system from collection to recycling to waste to energy to final disposal. That is metropolitan planning. Look at Tokyo. Provides an even more relevant lesson. Tokyo has a directly elected metropolitan governor and a directly elected Tokyo Metropolitan Assembly composed of 127 members. But listen carefully, Tokyo did not abolish local governments. its 23 special wards retain local autonomy and attend to services closest to residents. What does the Tokyo Metropolitan Government do? It handles services that require metropolitan scale and coordination. The 23 ward area metropolitan level responsibilities include major services such as water supply, sewerage, firefighting, flood control, while the wards deal with many day-to-day community services. Even finances recognize the metropolitan character of the city. Tokyo has a metropolitan wide financial adjustment system to address disparities in fiscal resources among its 23 wards. And look at garbage. The wards collected and transport garbage, a joint organization of the 23 ward conducts immediate processing such as incineration and crushing. The Tokyo Metropolitan Government handles final disposal at metropolitan landfill facilities. Collection is local, processing is shared, final disposal is metropolitan. Simple, logical, integrated. Tokyo also manages flood risk at metropolitan scale. It operates an integrated information system monitoring rainfall and river levels and undertakes metropolitan policies involving rivers, sewerage, flood control, infrastructure, and heavy rainfall measure. That is why Tokyo can think not merely about next week flooding, unlike Metro Manila. Pag umuulan lang, doon lang tayo nagpaplano. Here, Tokyo is thinking about the resilience of their metropolis for generations. Look at Bangkok. Bangkok offers another model, closer to us here in Southeast Asia. Bangkok is governed as a special local government with directly elected governor and an elected Bangkok Metropolitan Council. Below them are 50 districts, but metropolitan policies are not chopped into 50 competing city governments. Bangkok has a Metropolitan Department of Drainage and Sewage, responsible for preparing master plans for flood control prevention, drainage and wastewater management across the city. It constructs and manages floodgates, pumping station, drainage tunnels, embankments, canal systems, sewer lines, detention basins, and water control system. Dredges canals, it removes garbage and weeds from waterways, it operates pumping facilities, it manages flood control infrastructure across district boundaries. One drainage system, one metropolitan master plan. One authority accountable to the people for the whole system. Hindi yung isang lungsod, nilinis ang kanal, pero sa katabing lungsod, barado naman. Hindi yung gumawa tayo ng flood control project dito, pero walang integration sa drainage system doon. Because water does not recognize political boundaries. Then what does Metro Manila have? We have the MMDA, and I recognize the hard work of many people in the MMDA. But let us be fair for them. We ask the MMDA to solve metropolitan problems without giving it genuine metropolitan governmental power. It coordinates, it regulates within powers granted by law, it persuades, it negotiates with the mayors. But ultimately, enormous political, fiscal, and regulatory authority remains divided among 17 LGUs and numerous national agencies. Technical solutions therefore repeatedly collide with political considerations. Engineering becomes hostage to politics. Planning becomes hostage to jurisdiction. The constitutional foundation already exists. We simply have refused to use it. We need a real metropolitan government. What I propose is not the abolition of our cities. Caloocan will remain Caloocan, Quezon City will remain Quezon City. Manila will remain Manila, Makati will remain Makati. Their mayors and council will remain responsible for genuinely local concerns. But services that cannot be logically confined within the city boundaries should be transferred to a democratically accountable metropolitan government. I envision a Metro Manila government with a directly elected metropolitan governor and a metropolitan legislature. Long-term solution becomes hostage to 3-year electoral cycles. The Constitution gives us the answer. Madam Speaker, we do not even need to amend the Constitution to begin solving this. The framers of the 1987 Constitution anticipated precisely this problem. Article 10, Section 11 of the 1987 Constitution provides that Congress may by law create special metropolitan political subdivisions subject to a plebiscite. Component cities and municipalities retain their basic autonomy, their own local executives and legislative assemblies, but the metropolitan authority may exercise jurisdiction over basic services requiring coordination. There it is, Madam Speaker. Assembly with clearly defined powers over services requiring regional coordination. This should include metropolitan transportation, traffic management, major road networks, integrated flood control and drainage, solid waste processing and final disposal, metropolitan land use planning and zoning standards, waterway rehabilitation, regional housing and resettlement planning, disaster risk reduction, environmental protection, and other services that cannot efficiently be performed by 17 separate governments. Imagine what we could accomplish. One metropolitan transportation plan, one drainage and flood control master plan, one solid waste master plan, one long-term housing strategy, one metropolitan land use framework, one traffic management system, one environmental strategy, and most importantly, our government that the people can hold accountable when the system fails. Panahon na para tayo matuto. Walang may kasalanan. Hindi yung kapag bumaha, LGU ang sisi. LGU na naman. MMDA ang sisisihin. DPWH ang sisisihin. Basura ang sisisihin. Walang may kasalanan. Everybody has authority over one piece of the problem. Nobody is accountable for the whole. We have an elective Metro Manila government. Isa lang po ang sisisihin. Madam Speaker, a metropolis of more than 14 million people cannot be governed through daily improvisation. Hindi pwedeng ang solusyon natin sa baha ay kapag umuulan lang. Hindi pwedeng ang solusyon sa basura ay kapag nakalutang na sa Manila Bay. Hindi pwedeng ang solusyon sa traffic ay magdagdag lamang ng traffic enforcers. Hindi pwedeng ang solusyon sa housing ay magtayo ng pabahay na walang trabaho at transportasyon. Hindi pwedeng ang solusyon sa informal settlers ay ilipat sila ng napakalayo sa kanilang kabuhayan. At pagkatapos ay magulat tayo kapag bumalik sila. We need a 20-year vision, a 30-year vision, a 50-year vision for Metro Manila. Madam Speaker, 34 to 36% ng ating gross domestic product galing sa Metro Manila. Hindi natin pwedeng pabayaan na mag-deteriorate ng gusto ang Metro Manila, kundi babagsak ang buong ekonomiya. Tokyo thinks in generation. Singapore plans infrastructure decades ahead. Bangkok created a metropolitan institutions capable of planning drainage and flood protection across district boundaries. Tayo, naghihintay ng susunod na baha, di na natuto. Madam Speaker, I filed a legislation proposing this reform, yet it remains unacted upon and unconsidered. And that is perhaps the saddest part, because we cannot say we do not know the problem. We know it. We cannot say we have not seen the consequences. We live through them every year. We cannot say there are no models to study. Tokyo did it. Bangkok did it. Singapore demonstrate what long-term integrated urban planning can accomplish. Our own constitution expressly allows Congress to create a special metropolitan political subdivision. So what are we waiting for? Another flood? Another mountain of garbage? Another trillion pesos spent on infrastructure without an integrated metropolitan plan? Di na natuto. Sana po, hindi maging effort na pang pamahalaan natin. Di natuto kahapon, di natuto ngayon, at ayaw pa rin matuto bukas. Maraming salamat po. Tang hapon.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I